Hello everyone, I'm Buck Weezer, putting the do into do-it-yourself. This is Big Red. Big Red's a Ford F150 from 2003, featuring the massive 4.2 liter V6 engine. And Big Red doesn't want to start, or at least she didn't want to start 5 days ago. It was really cold. She cranked and cranked and cranked, but nothing. So it looks like our job today is to figure out what's going on. So let's give it a try. Big Red has manual transmission. Doors, windows that crank down. And, you know, kind of old school, and I just really love her. Let's see what happens. All right, so there you hear it, crank and crank and crank. Usually it starts by now, although I had noticed in the last couple of weeks, occasionally on a cold morning, I'd have to do that a couple of times, 3 times before it would start up. Let's try it again. Just cranks, huh? We'll give it one more chance. All right. Well, I'm glad it's not starting. You can't fix it if it ain't broke, so it's clearly broke, right? And I figure it's either fuel or ignition. So when I turn the key to, you know, run, I'm pretty sure I can hear the fuel pump, you know, priming like it does. Oh, look at there. She started up for us. Well, that's a little bit discouraging because if it's an intermittent problem, it's hard to diagnose it. Well, I can't really fix it if it's working, right? So I'm going to have to wait again till another occasion when perhaps it doesn't want to start like the other morning at all. Seems to be an issue when it's really cold out, which it's not right now. But 5 days ago it was pretty darn cold out, and that's when it wouldn't start. All right, so I think what I'll do is I'll put this on hold for now and turn the camera back on next time it's giving me problems. I'll see you then. Okay, guys, it's been 2 weeks, 15 days actually, since we recorded that previous segment, and I've driven the truck several times since then. But once again, it you know, things don't fix themselves. So again, it's not starting. And interestingly, I was driving yesterday, did a couple of short trips, and then later in the afternoon, it didn't want to start. It would just crank, and that says to me it wasn't cold. You know, I had already been driving that day, so this problem does not seem to be related only to dead cold start, because it wasn't cold yesterday afternoon. Truck was already warm. All right, so we got to investigate here, and what I did is I hooked up my cheap little Harbor Freight Tools fuel pressure tester to the fuel rail, Schrader valve on the fuel rail, and I'm going to see if I got any pressure, if we got any fuel pressure, first cranking it, or first just cycling the key, and then if it'll crank and start. Let's see if we get any fuel pressure. I don't know if you can see that or not. I can see it from inside here in the truck. And usually I can hear the fuel pump cycle in the back. I'm not sure if I can hear it now or not. Okay, so I don't see anything happening on that gauge. There we go. All right, so that time it did kick in. It took 3 times, and then I cycled the key 3 times, and on the 3rd time, we got a reading. So I feel like there's something with the fuel pump. It's not always wanting to cooperate. So it fell here after it energized. So we went to 22 PSI. I don't know what it's supposed to be. I'm thinking maybe 28 or something like that. So I expect now that it should start. But you'll notice it took 3 times of cycling the key before the fuel pump kicked in. So cycle it again. All right, it went up to, that looks like close to 30, like 28, which is what it should be. So I expect it will start now. And of course it did. And it went up to about 30 PSI. Again, I'm not sure what it's supposed to be running. But I think what we've at least determined is there's some intermittent problem at the fuel pump. I don't know if the fuel pump is on its way out, if I've got a bad connection somewhere that doesn't want to always cooperate. And I don't want to guess, but I don't want to replace the fuel pump if it's something else. So like right now it's working. The truck started immediately once we got fuel pressure. But why didn't we have fuel pressure before? And that gauge is holding steady. Oh, it just fell. All right, so I guess we're making a little progress. I'm not sure what my next step's going to be, but especially since now the truck's running. It's hard to fix stuff when it ain't broke or won't stay broke. All right, well, we just took her for a little shake, 2 or 3 miles, and ran perfectly. So it's like once started, there doesn't seem to be any drivability issues. It's just a matter of getting it started. I left the fuel gauge here, and it's holding steady at about 25 pounds, which I think might be a little lower than it was, but it's very steady. It's not wavering in the least. All right, shut it down, and I hear the pump as I cycle the key. Fuel pressure gauge is holding steady where it was about 25. And she starts right up. So I don't know that I'm too much further along where I was. I got an intermittent problem that right now is not presenting itself. And the only thing I did observe was when we did start it cold, I had to cycle the key a couple of times before the fuel pressure jumped up from 0 to about 30. So I don't know. Still not sure what's going on. All right, so a little research online. I wanted to know what the fuel pressure specs should be for this engine. And so for 97 to 2003, key on engine off 35 to 45, key on engine running 28 to 45. Disconnect the vacuum line at the regulator and it should rise at least 5 psi. Well, we'll see. All right, so let's cycle the key. Oh, that went up to, that's at 35 right now. That's good. And start it, and it dropped down to about 30. Guess what? All of that's exactly what it's supposed to be. Now let's go unplug the vacuum line at the regulator and see what it does. didn't actually notice it moving at all. But those first two tests, the pressure was right where it's supposed to be. So I don't feel like I've got a way to condemn that pump, at least not yet. Still running now about 30. You can't complain about that. That seems to be right on the money. I'd like to look and find out what kind of amperage draw the fuel pump should draw and test that, because that might give us an idea of the status of that fuel pump also. All right, well, I think I'm gonna wait to see if it acts up again and then continue with our diagnosis. Okay, well, we're still at it. So it's been several weeks. I don't know exactly, since we recorded that last segment. And I've driven the truck. I don't drive it every day, but a couple of times a week, and it's not given me any problems. It's started up just fine. It's ran perfectly fine. So it makes it kind of challenging, because you can't fix it if it won't stay broke. So I want to, before I just hang up, you know, just forget about this, I decided what I wanted to do is a couple of electrical checks. I want to see what kind of current draw the fuel pump is doing. And so I have, it's fuse number 10 on my truck. It's a 20 amp fuse. That fuse is good. I verified it. And in its place, I'm putting the leads from my multimeter, and I'm going to put it on the ammeter setting. And I'm going to get in the truck and see if I can, you know, see how much amperage that fuel pump is drawing when we cycle the key, and then we can start it briefly also. There's other ways that you can test for amperage draw, but this is all I've got, and I think it should be okay. And that might give us some indication if the pump is, you know, on its way out. You know, this intermittent problem, I'm not sure exactly what's going on. So it's sort of like the last test before I throw in the towel and just give up on this, solving this, until such a time as it manifests itself in a permanent fashion. So let's turn on the multimeter. We'll get in the truck, and we can see that through the windshield. Hope you can see that. I think I've got it on the right setting. So I'm just going to cycle the key and see if the pump energizes and what kind of draw we got. Are you ready? All right, did you see that? It went to like 4.85 volts or amps. So for the 2 seconds or so that it runs, you know, when the ECM energizes the fuel pump relay, and it energizes the pump for a second or two, then it was pulling like 4.8 amps. Let's try that again. Cycle the key, 4.84, and now let's crank and see if it'll run. All right, so now it's running 5.15, so about 5.2 amps. And that, I think that's absolutely fine. I don't see a problem with that at all. Fuel pump's drawing 5.18 amps. And that's absolutely fine. I was looking up online and just the specifications of a new Delphi fuel pump, and it draws on average 6 amps. Well, we're certainly within that, and the truck seems to be doing just fine. So until it manifests itself again, leaves me stranded on the side of the road, or have a more permanent problem, I just don't think I can do anything else at this point until such time as it does leave me stranded. So it's an intermittent problem, but I can't fix it if it won't stay broken. Your comments and questions would certainly be appreciated. Thank you for watching this video. It's a bit of a head scratcher. Maybe there'll be a part 2. I don't know, you know, when I have a more definitive understanding of what's going on. Thank you for watching. Have a great day, and I'll see you on our next video. Bye-bye.